Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about, I guess, an interview that Norman Reedus did with EW, and yeah, get into some talk about the Daryl Dixon show, because that show is obviously premiering in, like, I guess less than 2 weeks now. I guess 16 days if you're watching it on cable, but if you do have AMC Plus, it will be premiering in 13 days. So yeah, it's almost here. The Walking Dead is almost back, and I'm just so excited. So before going any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, and I will be live on Twitch later on streaming the new Phasmophobia update, so if you want to check that out, definitely go follow me on Twitch. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. The link for that should be in the description of this video. But yeah, like I said, Daryl Dixon is premiering in about 16 days from now. What day is it today? It's Friday, so yeah, that makes sense. So 2 weeks this Sunday, or 2 weeks yesterday, right? So 13 days until we get to watch this first episode for the majority of us, because I do think the majority of us do watch The Walking Dead on AMC Plus. I think that's pretty much how most people watch it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure their numbers are like, I think AMC Plus has like 11 million subscribers or something like that. And obviously not everyone's watching it, The Walking Dead, but you know, you just kind of compare those numbers to like the US cable viewers, which was like around 700,000, I would say, for Walking Dead Dead City. I think it makes a lot of sense that people are watching mostly on AMC Plus now instead of cable. So, and honestly, I don't even think it has to do with like having to watch the episode early. I would just watch it that way because I kind of prefer to watch it that way. Like, I think if they actually had the episodes air at the same exact time on Sundays, I wouldn't watch it on cable still, because I just kind of prefer to watch it online. And like, honestly, if I have the app, I can watch it on my phone, or I can sort of watch it on like on my TV or on my computer. And it just makes it so much easier to watch the episode, to be honest, than watching it on cable at a specific time. And then there's commercials and all of that, right? So I do kind of prefer this format, and I am happy overall that they are making it so that you're able to watch the episode only a couple days early, instead of last year. If you remember, for like the last 8 episodes of The Walking Dead, they had it where you can watch it like a week early. They might have even done that for like part 2 as well, but that was a lot. Like, that was so much to have to review each episode a week in advance, and people on cable were only watching the previous one that night. Like, that was way too much. But Daryl, or Norman Reedus, talked about the Daryl Dixon show, and he referred to it being like art, basically, and he made some interesting comments about the show, so I kind of wanted to actually talk about that here. So again, I'm getting this from EW here, and to quote what he says, "We're making art. I think with doing a show as long as The Walking Dead for that many years, whether you know it or not, you fall into a rhythm of repeating things that work. I found myself saying some of the same lines over and over, and did all the other sorts of storylines that we had done before, maybe with another character or whatever. Now we're not following anything." That I find, honestly, like, it's funny. Like, it's honestly refreshing to hear, first of all, but it is something that is kind of true. Like, I will say towards the end of The Walking Dead, there were some repeating storylines. It was like with different characters and whatnot. And I think that's why people mostly never really complain too much. But I could see if you're an actor, you know, you've been there the entire time, and if you're remembering certain things of dialogue, like, I could see how you're probably thinking, like, I've already said stuff like this before, or I've already done things like this before, but just different characters were here, kind of thing, right? And it does make sense. I do think The Walking Dead towards the end, for sure, got way too safe. Like, I think it just played it way too safe with a lot of characters. It didn't take too many risks with killing off certain characters, and I always bring up Gabriel because I think they should have killed off Gabriel in season 10. Like, his comic death was honestly like so shocking. It was such a crazy moment, and I really think the Whisperer War just lacked that big moment at the very end. What I mean, like, that very big death at the end, and I was just really looking forward to that comic death, and then we never got it. And so I do kind of understand it a little bit, you know, at least from my point of view. I could see how they did play it safe with a lot of stuff. And to what he said, you know, he was talking about the fact that, you know, there was a lot of things like similar dialogue, and just certain things were happening, and now it's sort of like there's more freedom. They're not following a certain thing that works. They're just going out there and they're doing whatever they want to do, kind of thing, right? So I can see how, from his perspective, that's probably pretty freeing. And I do think the fans are going to appreciate it quite a bit, because I think the fans also kind of felt that a little bit as well. Like, Dead City, just look at that storyline, and just the cinematics, the vibe, everything about that show, entirely refreshing, and everyone really enjoyed it. The reviews for that show are insane, right? So I think that, honestly, the Walking Dead universe is going in a really, really great direction. And I think if the Daryl Dixon show basically does what Dead City did in terms of just doing its own thing and making whatever, then I think it's going to be also very successful because the trailer for the show looked absolutely incredible here. He also mentions this one part here, which I found kind of interesting. He said, I feel like we're not cranking it out for numbers on a Sunday night. We're making art and there's moving dialogue. It's a different animal and it's beautiful. It's touching and it's sort of amazing to look at and listen to and watch and feel. And that is something too that I will say with the spin-offs, is that it is something that is kind of, it just feels so different. Like, it does feel like art. It feels like something worth watching, I guess is the better way I can describe it. Like Dead City, like there were certain episodes, or episode 4, or even episode 4, like I did like the episode. I think episode 4 was probably my least favorite of the 6. I can't remember because I did do a ranking and I did put episode 4, I believe, as my last one. I still really enjoyed the episode, but that's kind of my point, is like I enjoyed the episode because visually it was a lot of fun to look at, and just overall, I really liked the story. And obviously some episodes aren't going to be as good as other ones, right? And it was just different and it was refreshing to watch the entire thing. And I think that there's something about the spin-offs that just make it way more exciting and like worth watching. Like each episode is going to be worth your time kind of thing, right? Because I will say The Walking Dead, well, I wouldn't say the last couple of seasons. Like I'm more kind of referencing back to season 7 and 8, but it did feel like back then anyways, like you could probably skip an episode. Like I know it's crazy to say, but I just remember back then, at least for sure in season 8, I really felt like, you know what, I could probably skip a couple of episodes and then maybe the story has moved along a little bit more. I know Angela Kang changed a lot of that. Like the pacing picked up quite a bit, and I don't really have too much complaints in terms of pacing for season 9, 10, and 11, except for the fact that in the final season, obviously they had to rush through a lot of material there, but I don't think that was their fault. That was just more of a scheduling thing and things changed right away. But I'm excited for these spinoffs. Like Dead City, I think, honestly, like I probably should rewatch it. I haven't actually rewatched it yet, but it's probably a show I should rewatch just because it's a perfect little story. And it's honestly like, I really do wonder what it would be like to experience that show, watching it from like literally just one day. I'll just binge the entire thing and it'll be done within what, 4 to 6 hours or something like that. Because it is kind of funny, you know, like the spinoffs are just, the quality of the spinoffs are this now. And this is something that, I mean, first of all, it is amazing. Obviously, I'm not complaining, but this is something that fans have been wanting for a very long time now. Like for years, we have wanted this quality of shows, of content with The Walking Dead. And it's funny to be getting that right now. And I don't know if it has to do with more that it's just like, oh, we're doing our own shows now sort of thing, and we're just going to focus on better things. Or if it's more because with The Walking Dead, they didn't necessarily want to do that. And maybe The Walking Dead was just sort of stuck on its own thing, and they just wanted to kind of do their own thing with that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly here, but it just kind of felt like The Walking Dead, they knew it was safe and like they could really promote whatever. But, you know, once that ended and they had to do spin-off stuff, they were probably like, well, we need to take this a little bit more seriously because we want people to keep watching. So now we're going to be putting all of this stuff into these shows. And I mean, it's working so far. Look at Dead City. Like the reception for that was insane. So I also wanted to touch on this too. There was actually an image that was posted, and it's an Entertainment Weekly exclusive image here. And it has Daryl and Laurent, and obviously this is them on their journeys. And I was actually just looking at this photo here, and it's kind of interesting because Laurent looks like he actually has a sleeping bag, I'm assuming. I could be wrong. I don't know if that is actually a sleeping bag. Like, it would be kind of interesting if the character, like, just on his journey, because he's so not used to this world, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna bring a sleeping bag with me just cuz, right? I mean, I'm laughing, but Daryl also does have a bag here full of stuff, and you gotta wonder why he does have a shovel, although it actually looks like they just buried somebody. If you look, there's like a necklace and there's certain things here on the ground, so I don't know who they buried or what happened here. But at this part in the story here, it is just Daryl and Laurent, so I do actually wonder why they're alone together here. What happened to Isabel and Sylvie? Did they separate? Are they in trouble? Like, what exactly happened here? The visuals just look absolutely incredible. Like, if you're just looking at the structures in the back, like, this is stuff that we would never get on The Walking Dead. So just honestly so cool to see. Really honestly crazy image here. I'm really excited for them to film season 2. I really cannot wait. It does, you know, it's very unfortunate with the strike and everything happening right now. Obviously the strike is happening for a reason, stuff like that, so I do totally get it. I do hope that it ends soon. I have been kind of following it here and there, and there hasn't really been much of an update, so it looks like this is going to be continuing for quite a while. I mean, the writer's strike has been going on since, I think it was April. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was like April it started, and the actor's strike started obviously last month. It's been going for a little over a month now, so I imagine this is probably going to be going into the fall. I don't think The Walking Dead is going to be affected yet. Like I said, they have some time still. I think, you know, if it's still happening in January or February, then I think that's where we're going to start to see some effect on these shows, because I think that then when they resume filming, those shows are going to premiere in the fall, which means we're probably going to have a summer next year of like no Walking Dead content. So that's where I see it, if anything, kind of being affected. And that's kind of why I'm also wondering if maybe like that's why they're pushing off the Rick and Michonne show and they're not revealing a release date. I mean, they also don't normally reveal release dates a lot, right? Like they do hold off on stuff like that for a while, but I do wonder if they're waiting to see how this stuff is going to play out, because maybe they want to hold off on that show until like April, because I could see that being a thing as well. So we'll have to wait and see, but I do hope that it does end soon. Obviously, like I think what's happening right now with the strike, it's for actors and stuff. Obviously it's horrible right now because it's being out of work and stuff like that. And I hope that stuff gets resolved very soon. So yeah, but I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Post your thoughts down below on the show, the quality of the spinoffs and all of that. And also, I guess, the image and stuff like that, what you think is actually happening in that scene. Make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.